I am joined as ever by Laure Jackson. Hello, Anne.
It's wonderful to be with you. Hiya.
I'm fine. And you were disappearing. It was like a Star Trek moment.
Oh,
That's fun. Watch the video later. That's always interesting.
what was that then?
Beam me up, Scotty. Right, now we have conversations about sensory health, which I'm really loving. Now, we spoke previously about hotels. I've recently been to a hotel and it got me thinking, having chatted to you about it, because one of the hotels, fresh paint, by which I mean still wet. Please avoid these walls. Like, seriously, what now? Now, aside from the issues of if that wrecks my clothing, you're getting a big bill, there was also the issue of it stank in my room. Nathan and I shared a hotel room and we could barely breathe because of the fumes.
Oh, that's really hard. That
Mm.
is so hard. So it's not just smell, but then actually what fumes do to you. Goodness me. That's not nice.
But it got me thinking about the chat we had last time about hotels and sensory
Mm,
healthy hotel stays and all that sort of stuff. So,
yeah.
um, for people who are thinking, "Oh, I'm dropping in on a conversation. This is fun," just remind us what it is that you actually do in terms of what Sante is, which is what's on your hoodie.
Yeah, it is, and that's what keeps coming in and out. It's just like, woo, am I part of Santé or not? Yes, no, so yeah, no, Santé occupational therapy. That I am an OT, so I love to help people do the things that they want to do in life and to thrive. And I'm a sensory specialist, so it also gives people, hopefully, I help people thrive in hope and freedom in that sensory health, because it can feel quite like a prison sometimes when you're stuck with situations, behaviors, either of yourself or your family. And life just can be a bit tough and a bit hopeless. So I hope through the messages that I can bring and through helping people understand their own sensory needs and all the different aspects of sensory processing that they can actually thrive. So yeah, have online programs and face-to-face programs, and had a lovely time at the centre today. Actually, had a lovely group of four families in, and I just joined them. Normally, I let families come in and use my sensory integration equipment for themselves. But this time I joined them, and it was so lovely to be able to see that from the littlies through to the teenagers, and the parents having a good go on some of the swings and ball pits and bouncy things as well. So yeah, it's a good time. I just like people to have a good time and lift people's spirits where we can, because life can be really hard.
Fab. I do have a topic to think about for today's little session,
Mm.
but I just want to come back to this hotel thing because it's very late. So 11 o'clock, we get in there. There's actually paint on one of the bed sheets, so we had to get that changed. There was a duvet missing. We had to get a duvet and a pillow. Oh yeah, we forgot about that, which is a bit unforgivable, really, in a hotel. And it's not a complaint about that so much as there were things that I could do something about, and there were things I could do nothing about. For example, I went to the reception desk. Can I please have a duvet? That would be nice. Can we have a fresh sheet that doesn't have paint over it? That would be really, really helpful. And it took an hour for them to come. I don't want to talk about that part of it all, but there are some things that I could do something about. The paint fumes, didn't realize how bad they were until about 2 o'clock in the morning when I woke up, wheezing, struggling to breathe. Very little you can do at 2 a.m. because what do I go and sleep in a car where it's like -5 at that point? Or do I just try and get through the night and keep sipping water? That's what I did. So my senses were physically overloaded because I'm struggling to breathe because of actual fumes. That's not a sensory processing issue. Nathan struggled a bit less than me, but didn't have a great sleep for the same reasons. But this is the thing about sensory health. I can understand that physically I am struggling. So I can drink and I can comprehend that and I can do something about it. And I rationalize that, hey, look, in 8 hours' time, I'm going to have the windows open. 6 hours' time, I'm going to get some fresh air.
Mhm.
And then we're gone. We're leaving the hotel. So this is a temporary problem and I'm going to move beyond it. People who have sensory health who can't breathe because they have very, very strong reaction to even basic perfumes or what
Mhm.
have you,
Yep.
that's not something they're going to escape in the same way. I can rationalize in 6 hours I'm gone.
Mm.
They're going to rationalize, well, this is never going to change. At which point you can get very, very depressed, very down, very what's the point in trying in life, which is the point at which we hope people will have found you because you can turn some of that around.
Yeah, yeah, we can. And that is it's beautiful now having an online system where I can actually capture the befores and the afters of people's experiences and actually have it there, just written down. Because I think, well, when you're doing normal kind of therapy or face-to-face work, you don't take the time to stop and gather. You just know there's been an impact, you know there's been a change, and you're just really satisfied, and they're really satisfied and move on. And the thing is, when you're working online, you actually have, I don't get the same direct feedback. It's a bit like you being on radio. Lots of people listen, but you don't really get that same feedback because it's not immediate in that way. So having that system online where people can actually write in and tell me, it makes a big difference. And all of this stuff, no matter how small, can significantly transform somebody's life. It's really, really important.
Right. Topic for this evening is around sensory healthy Christmas shopping. Because we've done Christmas, we've done meals, Easter, Christmas, that sort of thing. We've done parties, done lots of the things that happen in the house. But I was thinking about not just opening the presents, which we've also covered. How do you do that better? But how do we do Christmas shopping? Now, I don't know what it was like for you. When I grew up, Christmas shopping was a thing. We didn't have online shoppers. That didn't happen. Maybe you bought a catalog and you could buy something, but it really wasn't a thing. If you wanted to get something for somebody for Christmas,
Mm,
you had to hit the high street and you would find what you wanted.
mhm,
If you didn't find it, well, you go back and find what you have because you can't go elsewhere. You can't just think, "I'll go online. I'll pop to the next city," because there's every possibility that you know what, that's not going to happen. So, how do we deal with Christmas shopping? Because in some ways, I think it's easier today. There's less people on the high street because hey, we're at home on our laptop with a cup of coffee and our feet up on a Friday morning. I'll buy some shopping. We couldn't do that, so it has changed. Society's changed in terms of basic shopping habits. Put it that way. But
mm.
how do we do today in 2025 with the current state of affairs? How do we have a good, sensory, healthy Christmas shopping experience?
And I think it's about actively getting out because we know we've got the online and that is always, and that will naturally be the go-to for many, many people. And I totally understand that. But there is something about being part of the culture, something being part of that experience that is a shame to miss out on if we can't match it with your sensory needs. Because otherwise people avoid it, and it's kind of like Christmas. It's very easy for Christmas to pass people by, or the specialness of a season, or whatever season people happen to be in. You want us everyone to be able to engage in that season in whatever way, shape, or form they can. So Christmas is it is about picking the time, the best times in the day to be able to go. Most people, I think, visually will be able to cope with either the lights or the extra decorations that are up. There may be some places that actually will pare it back a bit. Most people aren't overwhelmed by visual. Most people, I think the majority of people will want love the actual intensity of those strong lights or the flashing lights. Well, maybe not too much flashing, but just a little bit of extra visual input most people can cope with. But the major ones will likely be the noise and the movement and the unexpected touch. So that's where I would choose the time of day specifically. When it's likely to be quieter, 9 o'clock in the morning, you can go and Google or find and see, type in the name of the place and then find out where and what time is likely to be the busiest. We get those graphs online. So go for a quieter time, and get the ear defenders on, get other things that you might want to listen to at the same time. But yeah, try and find the things that match who you are. Think about it. Think about the sights and the sounds and the smells. Think about the types of shops that are going to be overpowering from a smell perspective. Make sure that you avoid those because the extra there'll be different ones out for Christmas, and some of the newness of those smells could be quite off-putting. Or if you love that, go and find those that are selling the mulled wine or all those other lovely spicy bits and pieces. But find your sensory fit and go at a time that is going to match who you are with what generally happens out in town at that time.
See, now, if we're in a supermarket, I avoid the detergent aisle because the perfume is so strong, I usually can't breathe. Joe is the same. So we avoid that aisle. That's just a supermarket all year round. One of the things I haven't done for a very long time, Joe used to do this quite a bit, was a Christmas market. So you go and there'd be different, like wooden shacks, and there'd be sausages from Germany or whatever the theme was
Yeah.
that was going on. And it's a great way of immersing yourself. But there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of smell. You
Mm.
do need to think about the weather because here in the UK it's
Mhm.
probably quite cold. Other parts of the world even colder. But like you say, yes, you can skip all that and go online, but Christmas is meant to be a time of rejoicing, of festivities. I don't just mean the season greeting stuff. I mean, it's like Jesus was born. Okay, this is exciting. So actually, you want to be around people. Mulled wine, not a fan. Love the smell. Mince pies, love the smell. Hate the taste. But I like to see them because it makes me feel like it's Christmas.
Yeah.
And it is good. And this is the OT part of you, which is okay, you're struggling, not stay at home, don't worry about it, but how do we help you actually engage and
Mm.
immerse yourself for you in that different environment?
Mm. It's interesting. When I was in Estonia a year or two ago, I think it was, family are out there, so I was visiting, and it was utterly freezing. So the only purchase that I got, I mean, yeah, it's middle of Europe in the middle of winter, and I'd never experienced cold like it. So it was a beautiful thing. It was a really nice treat to be able to go into a shop and think, I need extra layers. I really do not have enough. I totally underestimated, even though I had 3 or 4 layers on, I still totally underestimated what I would need, and got an Arctic Baltic hat with a wraparound scarf. It's all in one, and it's made of wool, and it's all natural stuff, and it is a phenomenal hat, and it was one of the best winter seasons I had, because for the first time ever I had one of these hat incorporated scarf things, and it was massively warm and absolutely beautiful. So it's just knowing, right, okay, Christmas is coming, this is what it's going to be like in town, this is the general temperature, this is the weather. If you can prepare, most of us are aware of it. If you're going on holiday for a Christmas shop, then just pay attention to all of those other things, and be as prepared as you can. But and also just go out and enjoy, because I really enjoyed my hat, and I still do.
That came across.
Oh, good.
But this is one of the choices we have to make, isn't it? Because if you've got smaller children, I mean, I was in Manchester in 1995-6 when there was a big bomb. I couldn't cope with crowds for a very long time. I'm much better now, so I have a bit of an overload because of a memory from what 30 years ago, more, and that still sits in me. So if I see a crowded market, I'm not going to be going in there, because you know what? It's not worth the stress for me. I love
Yeah.
people to go and have fun. I would want to encourage that. If Joe wants to go with the boys, great, go for it. I might stay on the periphery. I might go to the quieter places, because you know what? I went through a trauma I haven't ever really got over. So we do have to make rational choices. If you're going and you really can't cope with smells, don't go into the soap shop. You're going to be wheezing. Do you know? Make a sensible, rational choice. But you could go to the next shop. That's okay, and go and immerse yourself and
Mm.
get stuck into the Christmas season. Because if we avoid the noise and the lights, just completely blanket ban, well, we kind of missing out on some of the amazing opportunities that our bodies need, of things that are not identically the same every single day in and out.
Yeah, and that is a really important thing when it comes to the therapy side of it.
Jolly good.
Yeah.
Just checking.
That we don't want people to stay in that, or to be in that permanent avoiding state. That's really not a helpful life strategy. So it's about acknowledging it, preparing where we can. I love that. That's definitely got to be one of our phrases, I think, because we say that a lot, but it is so important. Prepare where you can, but also give yourself time to rest and recuperate, because it is going to take something out of you, but it is worth it. I think that's the message from this morning, that there is a sense of protection and preparation and safety and all of those, doing the right things, but actually be prepared to just go for it for the sake of the experience, but give yourself time and space and permission to recover. And if that means then 2 days in the house, not seeing anybody, not doing anything, that is totally fine. That is totally acceptable. We just would rather not that be the case 24/7, 365 days a year. Um, not the best way to get the most out of life. So we do want a little bit of engagement and support you in that engagement, but then yeah, take time to recoup.
Which is the occupational therapy part of what you do, which
Mm.
is not avoid it. It's easier. That's missing the point because you're missing out on life. There are some things to consider. Perfume for me, I avoid it. Why? Because I can't breathe. It's that simple. It's not a personal preference. It's a physical thing.
Yeah.
And I know we've talked about that a little bit, but there are things I like to enjoy. I don't like mulled wine or mince pies, but I still like the smells and I like the scents of them. So even in that one thing, I'm immersing myself as far as I can go. The taste, no thanks, I'm good. If Joe wants a mulled wine, and she'll often buy a little thing for the house for Christmas for herself a mulled wine, great, go for it. The smell's great. Don't come near me with it when you've been drinking it, but that's fine. I don't want that much contact. But you can sensibly limit and manage the amount of input you're having that perhaps you don't like
Mm.
eating mince pies. I would happily never eat one. That's fine. So I like the smell. I like to see them around.
Mhm.
Just don't want to eat them. So I can sensibly immerse myself as far as I can,
Uh-huh.
and I would limit that to eating because otherwise we might see it again.
Yeah, I know. It took me years. I actually trained myself to like mince pies. It's one of those bizarre things when, like, I'm quite good at saying no to things. I mean, I'm quite good if it's not happening, if it's not working for me, it's like that's fine. I'll just say no, or I'll move on. I'll do something else. But mince pies, it was one of those things that actually, and like we had little ones on at church on Sunday, and it was like, oh, because this is my first time having a mince pie, and it's just the excitement. So that there's something about that's worth, as I say, it took me years because it's like yuck, for years. But I trained myself because I thought actually I do really like the concept wherever they came from, and I don't know the background of mince pies either. But that's neither here nor there. There are some things about celebrations that I just enjoy just because you can, and yeah, let's bring the fun into life and lift our spirits wherever we can.
And just to clarify, if you have no concept, what are we talking about? This isn't like minced beef or minced turkey. Okay, let me just be very clear. This is sort of a fruity concoction, like a bit of a cake in a pastry wrap, kind of.
That's what used to put me off because I couldn't get my head around the fact this is mince, but it's not mince. It does not taste like minced beef, and it's not minced beef, and that's the whole point. But I think that's part of why it took me years to kind of equate what my ear was hearing with what my taste was experiencing. So it's a bit of a not a good congruence between my auditory processing and my gustatory processing because they were just like two different things. So
That's the thing,
yeah.
though. If I was provided with a minced beef pie, I would be quite happy. That would work. But no, I'm just trying to explain it for people who perhaps thinking, what are they on about?
Yeah.
Minced pies. Is it English? I don't know. We'll have to do some research. Is it an English thing, a British thing? Is it a
Hmm.
European thing? I don't know.
I don't
But
know.
it's definitely a kind of Christmas thing that, if you believe the supermarkets, we should be eating from about the 1st of March to the end of February, apparently. Which is when it seems to have been in the supermarkets. Christmas, going out and enjoying things. I mean, the other thing around Christmas shopping is going to have to be the Christmas church experience because it's a big deal, obviously.
Mm.
So let's just wrap that into what we're talking about. Because part of going Christmas shopping, you might hear carolers, quite common. Not as many as I like to think we should have. I think it was a great thing. But
Mm.
actually, you might hop into a church where you're going to have a cup of coffee in the local town centre. Oh, I can have a cup of coffee or mulled wine or whatever. And there might be some stuff going on in there. And there might be a manger scene and all the rest of it that we would hopefully expect to see in churches,
Mhm,
should do.
mhm.
So let's just wrap in going to churches when that perhaps isn't your thing, alongside the Christmas shopping. Go to your shopping, do your Christmas market, hop into a church for a mulled wine and maybe a little bit of carol singing.
Mm. And I think this is where churches can actually really be great and say, look, this is a quiet space,
Mm.
especially for churches that inside towns. Is just use the church and the building and the atmosphere because most people go into a traditional church and have that sense of quiet reverence. I don't think reverence always has to be quiet, but there is a sense of respect, or this is a little bit different, or this was important to people, or it is important to people, and therefore, everything calms down a little bit or quietens down, even though they are very, very echoey places. Most traditional churches, because of the fabrics and the stone that's used in them. But I would use it and say, look, let's have a quiet hour in the midst of the shopping, in the midst of the bustle, come and have a bit of time of reflection, or that the coffee is positioned. You do got like places where you can go and get drinks, or you have that in one of your little aisles, or in a side room, or something like that. But you make the most of it and advertise for quiet hour for just calm and reflection, just to de-stress, and then you can go back out and finish your Christmas shopping. Or you've got the alternative, which is inviting people to the carol services, the newness, the full-on vibrancy that churches can go into at this time, because it is full on. We know it's all about Jesus, regardless of when he was actually technically born. This is our time. This is our season to remember him, and let's go out and share the word.
I love the idea of, excuse me, churches using the buildings that generally in a city centre, town centre, especially in the UK, a church would be very traditionally and generally speaking a big old building. And like you say, very thick walls, so it might echo inside, but it's probably going to be quite quiet. And actually, churches can use that. We have cool spaces in the summer. Yes, because they're huge, thick buildings, so they can shield you from the heat. Warm spaces is another brilliant thing, but calm spaces. What a great one to add into your repartee as a church and say, we've got the cool space, we've got the warm space. Let's do a calm space.
Yes. And get some swings up. Yeah. Or is it get some swings in the back? Special regulation, Christmas regulation for shoppers and churchgoers alike.
You see, now you just pinged just semi inappropriate of the vicar being at the front on a swing for his sensory health on Christmas Day morning, and the congregation thinking, "What's that? Sensory health? It's good." It's completely random.
I was just thinking like a rocket, like the manger then is actually a hammock, rather than in a trough. But yeah, whatever.
Well, that's the other one, of course. You've got the manger. Some churches don't touch, don't touch the baby Jesus, and I'm thinking, sort of missed the point here of Jesus coming to earth as a real man to be born and be touchable. But also you got those that you could actually interact with it. And what's the other one? It's just another. See, you're pinging randomized thoughts in my head today, because the other one could be drop your hubby off or your kids off for some, time, so that we can have a little bit of separation. Perhaps anxieties, tensions can rise. There's another one. You can have a little room for mums to go with the children, just a little bit of quiet space and time, or however you might want to vary it for your situation in your town. Whether dads need a bit of time or mums need a bit of time, but there's so much that we can do as churches, church communities, whether we got a big old-fashioned building or a much more new one. There's so much we can do for other people.
I think it'd be great to be able to use it. I was just thinking of the example this morning when we had our numbers of families, into the centre that I had, and obviously one of the girls who was more on the neurodivergent aspect and spectrum of life, and everything was just like, you could tell that she was looking at everything. So it's just like, okay, come round to the back because I've got a quieter area, and maybe let's look at dominoes, let's look at Jenga, let's just have a quiet play. And then by the end of it, she had time to settle in, she had time to relax, she could see what else was going on, and then by the end of it, she was jumping and spinning and getting involved with everybody in there, and it was just really lovely to see. But we could tell as soon as she came through the door, it's just like we need that element of safety and protection, and just setting things up in a way that she's going to feel comfortable with to begin with. Others came through the door and they were straight into everything. But a little bit of sensitivity and just trying to suss out how somebody is and what they need, just to help them feel more at home or more calm in an environment that they may not be used to, especially if it is like a church. Then it's like, where can we bring them first to help them settle in and then get involved in whatever activities are going on?
There's a lot we can do if we apply a little bit of thought. If a church is thinking, that's great, how can we get involved in this? I believe you might have something you can help them with.
I do. The sensoryhealthychurch.com. It's a lovely program to consider these issues, to help those little grey spells just get sparks or thoughts together, bring things together, get those aha moments, those light bulb moments of, I've seen some of these things, or I've heard these things, but I didn't realize that they were as important as they actually are. And then there's solutions to be able to help it. And then there's 6 weeks to a sensory healthy church where I can work with you over a 6-week 6-week period, whether that be 6 weeks on an intensive or 6 weeks over a whole year. I'll come alongside and work alongside your church through Zoom, because I'm in the Channel Islands, unless you pay for me to come over, which I'm more than happy to do so. But that's another thing completely. But just there to support you. If not, go to Sensory Healthy Church and get the free program there.
And Lord Jackson, as ever, thank you. We will return next week for more. Yeah, there you are. If you want to touch space with Anne Laure Jackson on the Channel Islands, you can do so. pure247radio.org, pure247radio.org/ALJ, and that will connect you with Anne Laure Jackson. Thank you, Anne.
Thank you.